The development of art is not that I want to change overnight. It's not possible. Development of art have to come gradually. Without your knowledge, it will lead you from one stage to another. I paint at the age of 5, and art is always my interest. So in the early stage, mostly I draw characters like I copy from comics, the Three Musketeers, Robin Hood. They are all my favorite characters, you see. So initially, I don't have proper art training until at the age of 17 when I enrolled at the Nanyang Academy of Fine Art. That is where I have my proper art training. My mother always believed that study is more important than art in order to make a living, because every parent always have the knowledge that art cannot make a living. So my mother never encouraged me to take up art lessons. But because of my persistence, after long persistence, then at last she gave in. They said, okay, if you're really interested, then you go and take the art lesson. But at the same time, you still have to study. In the early 70s, the gallery owners tells me that they like to see my work. So I show them my work. He has seen my works before. Also, he's quite interested in my work. So I do some painting for him and he buy outright for me at that time. I sell him 3 pieces, he sold 2. I give him 5, he sold 4. So of course I should say that this is very encouraging, you see. I was working for the Port Authority for some time. So the reason that I left the job, because the job and art are totally irrelevant. So in 1977, I left the job with $150 in my bank account. So I said, I never mind, I take the risk, I tried. So from there, my paintings sell gradually, you see, even after today. So I was considered, I'm blessed, I'm very lucky that I be able to survive as a full-time artist up to today with those solos exhibition and so on. 1977, I switched totally to acrylic. So in 1992, I switched totally to canvas. I don't paint on watercolor paper. I don't paint on paper anymore. Yeah. So that's the developments of my artworks. So if you will see that in the paper works and the works I do on canvas, they are totally different now. So the reason I use acrylic is because it's very versatile. So initially, I use some paper. Acrylic is a medium which can combine like oil and watercolors, which watercolor is transparent, whereas acrylic is opaque. So the advantages of acrylic is I would be able to interact these 2 styles of painting into one. So watercolor you just do is very, very light, very transparent. So acrylic is a more opaque colors and it's more stronger. So I combine these 2 to do it my own styles of artworks. So later, until in 1992, I decided to do on canvas. Totally on canvas. Why? Because it's more durable. My changes is not very tremendous changes. So when they look at my works on, they still can accept what I do. My style of painting, and they still can accept that link to my artworks. Because as I said, my work is not too abstract. So they can still accept my styles of artwork. And now, even if you see the earliest work in 1992 or 93, they still can tell that this is an artist's work. Because the interaction is still there. The most important is how you make your painting works. By using any colors. It's not necessary that the sky is blue, I use blue. The trees is green, I use green. So this does not apply to my artworks. I just work on what I think is interesting. And the colors which I do, I mix is totally different from what I've seen of that place. So when you look at this painting, the subject of this painting is Tanah Lot, Bali. Then you see the architectures. These are Balinese architectures. And I represent this as the mountain. On the mountains, it's an island, more or less, you see. So you can see all this, the bow strokes. And I don't know what do they call it in Bali. They have a lot of poles, all that. So this painting is a semi-representation. It's a bit more abstract art. And I'm using vermilion, orange red, and yellow ochre to paint these pictures in the different forms of colors, which I usually I use gray and umber. But this painting, I usually purposely use this umber to represent this Dana Lord. And you can see that these are all the strokes. You can see all the Chinese ink broken strokes to combine with the Western art, styles of artworks. So if you see this piece and that one, that for example, you are not talking about that one. So you see this one, you can see that most of this painting, I use a lot of Chinese ink brush strokes. And I bring out only certain parts. You don't see the whole pictures of Dana Lord. I'm focusing on these certain parts only. So these are the gondolas, the stations around this Grand Canal. So in this painting, I'm using the different colors. I'm using only gray colors and buff titanium. And I don't use any cool colors. Any warm colors, sorry. See? So you can see the combination of the gray colors and the raw umber colors. And no blue colors are being involved. So the using of colors for my painting is certain painting I restrict to certain colors. As I mentioned just now that I don't use a lot of colors in my artworks, as I believe that the amount of colors is not important. The most important is how you make your painting works. So that's very important. So if you really look at this painting, you will see that it's my style. So you'll be able to relate in the sense that you can always see the brush strokes over here. So this brush stroke cannot be denied. So it's totally your works. So and once they look at your work, they do not have to look at the signature that these are your artworks. I'm not painting a completely realistic art, like the Renaissance period and so on. Mine is more semi-representational. So when I paint the pictures, the most important thing is I look at the subject, and I look at the composition, and I look at the angles. And from there, when I start painting, I tell myself, for art, it's like that. I delete what I think is not necessary, and I add what I think is in order to make the painting more interesting. Painting gives me joy. And when you finish a piece of artwork, and then you see that you have completed that piece of work, and that piece of artworks gives you so much happiness. So I think this is one of the reasons when you feel you're like a